Good morning. It is Monday, October 31st. Happy Halloween. We are 90 days out from January 29th. As we get into today, we've got future and emerging cappers meeting at 11 o'clock. That is at kellertv.com. That's at 11. And then Ask the Brokers is at 1 o'clock today with either JV or Westcott, maybe both. Probably one or the other, though, because they're very busy, because you guys are doing an inordinate amount of work, and we love that about you. So wanted to get right into discussing the fact that I think we have limiting beliefs around what works and what doesn't work. Got into a conversation last week with an agent, and their reaction when we started talking about scripts, honest first question was asking what they are, which is fine. And this was not somebody who is brand new to the business. We started to talk about what scripts were, and they had immediate pushback, as you can imagine. And I just want to talk about some of the tools that maybe we have an adverse reaction to, or we really haven't leaned into, that quite possibly could serve us. We hear people talk about all the time, well, that doesn't work. Or they make grandiose statements like, and I always pick on this one because this is a classic. Somebody eats something, sushi, pizza, whatever, food inside of a minute probably. Good for me. They bring up some food group and they state that whatever they're consuming in the moment is the best in the world, is the greatest in the world. And I appreciate that passion for any given food group or restaurant or cuisine. Although, unless you've consumed that food group globally, which would, I would argue, unless you made it your life's work and started very young, would be near impossible. And then, of course, recency bias seeps in. Recency bias is the last piece of pizza you ate you would consider the greatest in the world. So when people push back and say, well, scripting doesn't work, or let's pick on it for today, right? Let's pick on door knocking. Let's pick on anything we can do for prospecting and marketing that you've decided doesn't work, even though you probably haven't done it more than once, or consistently is the magic word, consistently. So if we go to door knocking, and today is the day, I use this example all the time. This afternoon, headed into dusk, going into, depending on your town, 6 to 8 o'clock at night tonight. Kids all over the country, if they didn't do it over the weekend, some towns might be doing it tonight. I trust most probably did it over the weekend. Kids are going to be doing the original door knock that we all did as kids. And they'll be using a script. What is a script? It's a greeting, right? Or it is a series of questions, really, that produce a desired effect. Now, the desired effect for us is not that they're going to buy, sell, or invest. The desired effect is that we're going to help them arrive at a decision. But we know as children, we went through neighborhoods, walked up driveways, knocked, said trick or treat, and we received candy. Maybe that guy down the street gave you an apple and a tooth. The dentist on the street, the dentist in the neighborhood always gives out an apple and a toothbrush, which is fine. They're doing their best. Now, mind you, as children, door knocking for Halloween, there weren't a lot of objections. There were some people, like the golden rule is if you're not participating as a family or as a household, you leave all of your lights off to signal to the kids on the street, don't bother coming up, we're not doing it. As of late, even before COVID, people just started leaving buckets of candy out rather than continuing to answer the door. And there's a couple of binding social contracts in that whole idea. You're going to go up and you're going to take one piece of candy if the bowl is left out by very generous neighbors, or trusting neighbors, as it were. And there's also a binding social contract that when a child comes to your door tonight or this past weekend dressed in a costume and says trick or treat, the expectation is that you exchange candy. It's part of a tradition for all Hallowed Eve, right? Halloween. So that is not necessarily directly applicable to you going door knocking in your business. My point is, if you're mindset is that scripts don't work, if your mindset is that door knocking doesn't work, if your mindset is that the newsletter doesn't work, if your mindset is that email campaigns don't work, if your mindset is campaigns and smart plans within Command don't work, I want you to ask yourself, to what extent have you exercised those? To what extent have you exercised those? I'm going to get his name wrong. I just saw him on Inman. First name is an initial. It's M something something. He is the CEO of Coldwell Banker. And he made a great point. Write down the time and date. I enjoy what he said. There, I said it. God help me. He made a great point. There are a lot of people in real estate that didn't have a plan during the good times. How do you think they'll fare during the bad times? We are heading into a challenging year in business, in almost every facet of life. It's going to be a challenge. We're heading into the year in which, after the midterms next week, you're going to see political parties start to send their presidential candidates out on the trail because people are going to start to declare for the presidency. There's going to be a polarization there. There's the economy is going to be a struggle for people. And we had this conversation last week at Business Planning Clinic as well. Do you feel that the market will control your business? Do you feel that the economy will control your business? Do you feel that the jobs market will control your business? Do you feel that the battle in Ukraine will control your business? Do you feel that gas prices will control your business? And there's no wrong answer. I'm just asking you a series of questions. But ultimately, let's just say the market. Will the market dictate your business? Will the market dictate your activities? Ask yourself that. I've been saying this for 2 or 3 months now. It is cheese stealing season. A lot of agents are already putting their feet up. I joke about this at our market center all the time. The Wednesday before Pi Day, God forbid some of our agents start to put their feet up. Because there's a switch in your head where we're into the holiday season now. And by mid-December, Hanukkah kicks in. I believe Hanukkah wraps on Christmas. I can double check, but I'm pretty sure I just looked. And those moments, all of the holidays, take all of the time necessary to celebrate your faith, to celebrate your family. But the agent that you know, and as I'm spitting the sentence out of my face, you know exactly who I'm talking about. Their feet are already up. They've already resigned to April 1st. My client said call back in the spring. A client says call back in the spring. That's because their misinformation, their horrible education on HGTV has them thinking that when they are saying, call me back in the spring, they feel like phone call sale. They probably mean they want to move in the spring, not start in the spring. You know I'm right. So that person deserves another phone call as you head into the holidays. Because could you sign them before the holidays start and then have a launch date of, I don't know, February 15th? They don't mean April 1st. They think they mean April 1st. And this isn't about conniving somebody into signing a contract and you telling them when they're going to go live and the price of their home. We bring market information. We bring real, true information. We bring timely information. And the longer we let that sit, because they told us They're waiting for spring. I say to you guys all the time, ask great questions, take great notes, have honest conversations. And the number one question I get back is, well, Timmy, what's a great question? The next question. When somebody says spring, what does that mean? I guarantee you and your future client have two different interpretations of what spring is. Vernal equinox, March 21st. Sure. Are you going to wait till then? Like in my head, most golf courses are open before March 21st. That means snow is off ground, frost delays are gone. Grip it and rip it. If you're outside playing golf, then your spring listing should be listed. And I would even back it up. Because what do we know? If they meant April 1st, if they meant March 21st, they mean moved. They don't mean start. And you might have had this happen, and if you did, I want to hear the story. Hey, like Timmy, call me on February 15th. We have so much family over for Valentine's Day. It'll be just too much of a hassle. I mean, think about this. When do people start their goals? If somebody has a nutrition or a weight loss goal, when does that historically start? January 1st. Everybody's going to get fit and firm January 1st. What do we know? There's a 66-day challenge, right? In the one thing. It's usually within 45 days. That person signs up for whatever gym. Maybe they're over at Planet Fatness. They're on the treadmill. They're lifting. They're doing all the things. They're doing all the right things. No judgment. And then maybe that wanes. Or if they don't see massive results by Valentine's Day, historically, 45 days in. And we just know this from research, 45 days in. But what does it take? It takes 66 days. And for the person that's given up on the 45th day, we also know beyond the shadow of a doubt, they probably didn't go consistently for 45 days. There's that word again, consistently, consistency. No matter what you do for prospecting or marketing, it is consistency. We know November 15th, we are 16 days away. 2 weeks from this Wednesday, 2 weeks from this Wednesday, you will put together your last purchase and sale that will close this year, probably. Because November 15th, well, 14th, it's going to be the 16th, actually. That's the Wednesday. So let's call it Tuesday, because Monday the 14th, right? Tuesday the 15th. Tuesday the 15th, I apologize. That's 45 days to the end of the year. And we're not even extracting some of the holidays we're going to be up against. So there's less than that for business days. I would love if somebody in the chat could toss up, run the math. Considering we have all day today ahead of us, give me business days, days that banks are open. So yank out Thanksgiving, yank out Black Friday. I would yank out Christmas Day, Christmas Eve. People, I mean, you might write a contract Christmas Eve, so leave that there. The day after Christmas. How many actual business days do we have left in the year? And if anybody playing at home has 2 seconds, I would also appreciate for you to throw in the chat on the face space. What do we get this morning for new listings in Massachusetts? What do we have this morning for new listings in New Hampshire? What do we have this morning for new listings in Maine? What do we have this morning for new listings in New Hampshire, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and Mass? Because we're all telling ourselves, oh, it's slowing down. And that is a direct correlation to the thing that we talk about and agents are talking about in bold right now during our fall bold launch. It's called Point Far. Point Far. PTFAR. PTFAR. So our programming is that things don't work. Our programming is that door knocking doesn't work. Our programming is that calls don't work. Our programming is that scripts don't work. Our programming is the newsletter won't work. And some of our programming that's like deeply wired within us, we've had our whole life. It's from the environment we grew up in. Which can be very difficult to change, but we're all vigilantes as kids, right? We don't just adopt and portray what our parents gave us necessarily. But depending on the environment you grew up in, I grew up in an Irish Catholic, and I always say Irish Catholic because we specialize in guilt. Yeah. You'll know the difference. If you're Irish Catholic, you know the difference. So just say Catholic. I grew up in an Irish Catholic household to a military father who, after he got back from Vietnam, worked at Raytheon his entire life in the Missile Systems Division. So it stands to reason that my programming, with my faith, my feeling about the military, maybe even my politics, we're in a pretty strict environment. That's my programming, right? So your programming leads to your thoughts. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. Your feelings lead to your actions. Your actions lead to your results. So what programming do you have about what is necessary to do in real estate? What are you starting to come to believe for programming? Somebody just said German Catholic, stubborn over guilt. Love it. So what programming do you have already that you're feeling is already hardwired maybe because you've been at real estate for a long time? If you're newer to the industry, there's a chance to reroute that. And even if you're hardwired, you feel like, no, I've been like this for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. Your thoughts can start to create new neural pathways. Those new neural pathways can get you to think differently. I say to you as your coach all the time, I'm not here to tell you how to feel. I can't tell you how to feel. No one's allowed to tell you how to feel. Your feelings are yours. They're derived by your thoughts. My job as your coach is to get you to think differently. So no matter what your programming is around lead generation activities, what you hold to believe as truth, I'm going to ask you to think differently about it. I'm going to ask you to remember we talked about door knocking with trick or treat. Everybody's done it, and it works. And yes, I know there's a binding social contract between adults and kids that when they knock and say trick or treat, we give them candy. I appreciate that. There are also social norms that when you politely knock on someone's door, if there's someone you want to be in business with, they most likely will answer the door. And there's also a social norm between friends that when you call and ask for help, they will extend help. So it's not about making a phone call and saying, hey, Stacy, you going to buy something today? No? Okay, never talk to you again. Or getting into that conversation and saying, hey, sorry it's been so long. What are you and the family doing for Halloween? How are Ted and the girls? She's going to reciprocate. What are you doing for Halloween, Timmy? How are Janine and the boys? I ask her about Liberty Mutual. She asks me about real estate. Maybe she doesn't even know I'm in real estate, which would be heartbreaking. We ask for help. So what is your programming? What is baked into your heart and your head right now? That we can change your thinking and create new neural pathways about lead generation, about door knocking, about writing a a monthly newsletter about calling your people. If we can get you to think differently about that, then start to feel differently. Point FAR, PTFAR. Your thoughts lead to your feelings. Your feelings lead to your actions. You start to do these activities within our industry. And your actions garner different, new, and dynamic results. Then we swing back to programming. And again, you may never break the hard wiring of long-term programming, but you've created a new neural pathway to think differently again. And it is wash, rinse, repeat. I'm asking you to think differently about how we go about what we do for real estate. We are coming out of almost a 2.5-year stretch of massive velocity. Gary has said it time and time again. We're coming out of a fast-paced market, going into a skill-based market. And the agent without the skill set, the agent without the process, the agent without the questions, read scripts. When I say questions, read between the tea leaves and know that I mean scripts. Scripts are a series of questions to uncover our consumers, our clients, our civilians' motivation. We're never going to motivate somebody to buy, sell, or invest. We are going to uncover their motivation. We want to be excited for the opportunity, never tied to the outcome. We have to be okay with whatever they decide to do, because whatever they decide to do is appropriate for them and their loved ones. And when they say, call me in the spring, get clear about what that means. And then stay in touch with them anyway. Give them market updates. Tell them what's going on. We would be doing our loved ones, our family and friends and future clients a wild disservice if we let them dictate our actions. Because the consumers that are telling us to call back in the spring, they are the market. And the market will not dictate our business. The market will dictate our activities. And when somebody's saying, I'm going to wait for the spring, or call me in the spring, or whatever their objection is, they haven't said no. They're extending the interview. That you will win, whatever that looks like. Maybe it's them rebuilding their credit. Maybe it's them pulling a HELOC. Maybe it's them listing. Maybe it's them standing pat. And we need to be okay with that. We have to be thrilled for the opportunity and not tied to the outcome. If we're in communication with enough people, we have enough opportunity. We don't need that one deal. And everyone knows that agent. You've been in business with that agent. They need this deal to close. You can feel it and you can smell it. We call it commission breath. And it sucks. That's not our jam. You guys are market leaders. Brad Kelly at the All Partners meeting said that there was a lending conversation he was privy to, and the understanding of the belief based on year-over-year numbers, based on analytics, based on market predictions, the state of New Hampshire, this is all we have for numbers. This is what he shared with us. But it stuck out. I think if you were in that room, you heard him say this. And the needle on the record was like, whoop. Lending circles believe in the state of New Hampshire there will be 500 sales in the month of December. We do that at our market center. And you can eradicate that right now. That's 2 months away. You've got listings that might need a conversation to put them in the right place to get them sold. You've got the buyer looking for the listing, and you could tee that up. Because when do we go under on our final contract for the year? November 15th-ish is the last purchase and sale you're going to put together-ish. Unless you have a hyper quick close with a bag full of money that wants to close yesterday. If that's the number they're talking about for the state of New Hampshire, if it's just 500, we need to be all 750 of those 500, if you get what I say. And for us to not be doing what we know it takes, not think, we have the evidence. We have the lag indicators, and we already see the lead indicators. People are stepping away. People are putting their feet up. Agents that consider themselves, I promise saying this without laughing or crying, agents that consider themselves professionals are punching out. And I appreciate the exhaustion. I understand how hard you guys work. Please don't think I don't realize that. We watch how hard you guys work every day. And 2X and 3X is coming to a theater near us. Whatever you're doing, it's about double and triple down on those efforts. Why, you might ask? Not to make you work harder, because you have to make up for the idiots. I said it, write it down. There'll be a quiz later. You have to make up for the morons that are stepping away from serving the greater public. The reason we have these licenses. We've been entrusted by the governors of our state to navigate this paperwork with the consumers in our respective states. And for people to step away because they've decided, or the market's telling them to wait till spring, is foolishness. The market does not dictate your business. The market should give you dictation on what your activities will be. We know what we need to do. And we're going to double and triple down, because we have to make up for those that have decided they're going to wait. And I'm not talking about the consumers right now. I'm talking about agents. And we talk about this all the time. I talk to agents all the time, and they tell me they have a bunch of buyers, and I appreciate that. Those are all great opportunities to go get the listing for the buyer that you tell me you're working with. So are you working with your buyers, or are you waiting with your buyers? What program is living in your head? Whose truth are you believing? Point far. Programming, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. You can break that programming, create new neural pathways, start to think differently about what you do. Remember why you started. Let that change the way you feel about what you do. Our thoughts lead to our feelings. Our feelings have a direct correlation to the actions and the activities we will invest our time in to garner new, better, and dynamic results for the people that we serve. In the interest of keeping you in your one thing, in your genius zone, communicating with the humans, you can send all your contracts to Jason Houle at Fulcrum, FULCRUMTS.com, FulcrumTS.com. Go there, reach out to Jason, let him do contract close for you. Fulcrum Transactional Services, FulcrumTS.com. You need your brokers? Ask the broker today at 1 o'clock on Keller TV. Or you can shoot them an email, broker@KWCLM.com. In lieu of that, you got a quick question, you can call or text Jason, 603-234-2589. If you need my help, it is meetwithcoach.com. A question, comment, concern, or you want to talk about your programming, your thoughts, your feelings, and how it's guiding your actions and delivering the results that you are aren't looking for, it is 603-834-2856. We are beyond proud to be in business with you. 2X and 3X is what we need to do in order to serve the people that are being left to wait by agents that are taking a season off. That's not us. We'll see you in and around the Market Center. Have a great week.